This is the Post Shift Podcast, your raw look at the hospitality industry. What's happening, Post Shifters, and welcome to another episode of the Post Shift Podcast. Of course, I'm your host, Shawn Soole. This week is a seminar that I did with the Fever Tree Canada seminar series last week. It's all about using online platforms as for the job hunt. And while getting a job right now is a little bit difficult, this is sort of setting you up and trying to get you to maximize your efforts for when the lockdown and the COVID-19 pandemic is over and we can start getting back to work. I'm going to be doing a couple of these seminars, so you'll be hearing these on the Post Shift Shot for sure. In about an hour's time, if you're listening to this at 9 a.m. on Tuesday morning, about an hour's time, doing actually a seminar on side hustles and making them a reality, which is one of my favorite things in the world to do. So if you want to listen in, you can tune into the Fever Tree Canada Facebook page, or you can just wait till next week when I have an edited audio version. You can listen to that. So first up, I've got Alexis introducing me, and then I crank out into the seminar. So I hope you're enjoying everything, guys. Thanks so much for the support. I'm completely and utterly grateful for the day-to-day listening that everybody's doing right now, and I've got so many great speakers coming up. It's kind of cool. So I hope you're enjoying everything, guys. Have a good day. Bye.
All right. Okay. Ready to get started?
Ready when you are.
Perfect. All right. Hi, everyone, and welcome back. My name is Alexis Green, and I am the National Brand Engagement Manager for Fever Tree Canada. I wanted to thank you for taking the time today to join us again for the Fever Tree seminars. These are a series of weekly hospitality-facing seminars to assist those of you that are out of work within the food and beverage industry. This week, our seminar focuses on job-seeking methods and online strategies for the job hunt, as well as a look at the current state of our industry. Here to speak with you today is Shawn Soole, owner of Soole Hospitality Management, partner at Human Construct Branding and Design, and host of the popular podcast Post Shift and BC Spirits. A few things to keep in mind: please put your phones on silent and mute any pop-up windows. Because this is a webinar, you won't be able to talk the way you normally would during a virtual meeting. You can use the raise hand function or send me a private message, and I will get to those once we hit the question and answer period at the end. Also, we will be recording this webinar for you or others to download later. You'll be able to find the link in the Fever Tree Seminars page on Facebook. Additionally, if you're uncomfortable with this recording, but nobody can see you or hear you, feel free to hop off and access the link later. So without further ado, I will hand things over to Shawn.
Let's just get my screen shared here. Okay. Thanks, everybody, for joining us today. I want to thank you to Fever Tree for putting these on. I think right now there's a hell of a lot of information out there, and it's always nice to sort of focus it down and give some direction when it comes to these sort of things, because there's everybody's got time on their hands, so everybody's putting out so much information right now. So it's a really nice thing to have a very focused, poignant piece of information that you can sink your teeth into. A little bit about me, as Alexis said, I own SHC here in Victoria, BC, which is my big company. I have a lot of other little companies that I run as well. They're all hospitality centric. But at the end of the day, really, me being me, I'm a bartender by trade. I still thoroughly enjoy jumping behind the bar and working shifts. I've opened restaurants and bars across the world. Last year, I spent 4.5 months in Singapore. But a lot of people see me as that bartender because I love my bartending role, but I really do look after the business of hospitality. So everything from Human Construct Design, which is my logo and branding company, through to my online bar store, through to my passion project, which is BC Spirits, focusing on craft spirits here in BC, and everything in between. I'm about to launch something brand new today or tomorrow, so you'll have to keep an eye out on that on social media. But really, I do a lot of stuff online, a lot of social media marketing, a lot of YouTube, a lot of content creation and that sort of thing for a lot of small restaurants and brands and stuff like that. So really, at the end of the day, I wanted to sort of give you an insight into what's going to happen after COVID-19. Now, job hunting is going to be very, very different. It has been slowly but surely changing over the last couple of years, but everything that we're dealing with right now has sped that up, and it's an evolution. So a little bit of an overview today. We're going to do an overall outlook, the changing landscape, which platforms for what. So we're talking about all the social media platforms, including some online platforms, taking advantage of training resources and what websites are the best tools, which I really did have a lot of fun finding a lot of these tools that I think will be able to help you out. So the next couple of slides are a little doom and gloom, and I don't mean them to be, but I want to really give a very strong reality. If you don't already know or haven't been reading about it, about the industry as a whole. Post Shift Podcast, which is my twice weekly podcast, I've actually upped that Monday to Friday, talking to people from relief initiatives like Bartenders Benevolent Fund and the CPBA, to legislation lobbyists like ABLBC and the BCRFA, and then business owners and bartenders and chefs and everything in between, so that I can get sort of a really good macro-rounded sort of overview of what the industry is going to be like, what it's like now, and what it's going to be like in the future. So a few figures just to sink your teeth into. Since March 16th, 1.2 million people have been laid off. 800,000 of those have been in the restaurant industry, which is a huge, huge number of people who have been laid off. And then we've talked about CERB and relief funds and stuff like that. So 10% of the restaurants, which equals about 9,750 restaurants across the country, have closed for good. As soon as the lockdown happened, they locked it up, packed away the furniture, and closed for good. After this lockdown is finished, about 35 to 60% of restaurants aren't going to open again, which equates to about 58,500 restaurants across the country, which is massive. Now, when we talk about restaurant closures, we're not just talking about the big brands that we know of, the Moxies, the Cactus Clubs, that sort of thing. We're talking about a lot of mom and pop shop cafes, ethnic food restaurants that are run by the family. Those sort of places are going to be ones that shut down as well. So in the grand scheme of things, it's a substantial amount of restaurants that just won't exist after all this, which is it is disheartening, but there's relief coming down the pipes, I'm hoping. So we're looking at least 3 to 6 months of lockdown, and we all are in that lockdown phase right now, quarantine life and hashtag, all that sort of stuff. But really the number that you should be looking at is that fifth number there, which is that 6 to 12 months. 6 to 12 months it's going to take before customer confidence is renewed. It's going to be a long time. Like, I'm hearing new legislation about how restaurants are going to open with less tables, less seats, massive spacing, and this is after the lockdown's finished. So nothing's going to go back to normal straight away. So just before I go to the next slide, actually, I should just interject here. If you do have a question, Ed, that you want to throw to Alexis, if it's pertinent to the slide that what I'm talking about right now, Alexis can jump in and just ask that question to me so that I can answer it straight away. I don't mind being interrupted as long as it's pertinent to what we're doing right now. I prefer to do that instead of waiting till the very end. So 6 to 12 months, consumer confidence is a big one. Now, I can go into a different seminar about restaurant brands and brand loyalty right now, but we're really talking about the overall outlook. Now, why am I giving this sort of like doom and gloom sort of outlook on how restaurants are going to be perceived afterwards? And this is really the reason. The job pool when you get rehired. Now, I've talked to a lot of bartenders, a lot of servers, a lot of chefs, a lot of staff members in just general conversation and stuff. A lot of people have been asking me what's going to happen in the macro. To be honest, in the macro, I'm trying to wrap my head around it because things change on a daily basis. But in the micro, I can sort of give my opinion and some advice. The one big thing that I'm noticing from a few younger from staff in general, actually, is that they have this belief that they're just going to walk straight back into their old job with the same amount of hours and the same schedule and all that sort of stuff. And I think it's something that needs to be really pushed a little bit, because I want people to understand that restaurants and bars aren't going to open the same way. And that's why the last slide was so very poignant. So the nature of hiring and firing and rehiring and training and stuff is going to be very, very different. So the job pool is going to be very big. Now, if you look at the figures that we just looked at of how many restaurants are going to close, now imagine that, let's just say on an average 10 people per restaurant aren't going to get rehired because those restaurants don't open. That means there's going to be an extra 500,000 people in the industry that don't have a place good to go back to. So a lot of you will have great owners who are going to hire you back like that, no reapply, that you're a core staff member, so on and so forth. But when it comes to another 500,000 people being in the job pool, a deep job pool with a lot of training and a lot of expertise and a lot of experience, it's going to be difficult to weed out that white noise, if that makes sense. So we talked about last week in the last seminar for Fevertree was transferable skills, something that you really should be thinking about right now that can put weight against your application, which we'll talk about in a little bit of time. Also, the other horrible thing that I've heard from a lot of people is that a lot of people just aren't going to go back to the hospitality industry. So a lot of people just aren't going to go back. They're going to get transferable skills now and get jobs in a different field or a different industry. And that's what they're going to do. They're not going to come back to being servers, bartenders, managers, so on and so forth. A lot of restaurants are going to be running skeleton crews for the first time. Restaurants I've heard, we're talking about doing quick service and pickup and delivery and stuff. So dining is not going to be something that is pushed for that 6 to 12 months of consumer confidence. It's going to be a little bit longer. So a skeleton crew is going to be hired. So it's going to be core people with the right expertise. It's going to be more of a puzzle piece or a puzzle that the owner is going to really look at and plop down who fits in what position. Staff are going to have to reapply for their jobs. As I said, like, this is one thing that I really want a lot of people, like a lot of owners are going to, if they've got a small crew, are just going to bring back their small crew. But a lot of big operators are going to see this opportunity as a time to reapply, rehire, get new staff in, some new, better experienced staff, more knowledgeable staff. And that's going to be a big criteria, and knowledge is going to be a big criteria for the rehiring process. And we're going to get into why knowledge is so important right now and this opportunity to really become better. So essential staff, this is a big one because I think a lot of owners get into this, but they always have a sort of sense of emotion attached to the business. But when I say essential staff, it's going to be very interesting because every single staff member hired back is going to be responsible for as much money as they possibly can get per hour, per seat. It's going to come down to like how much money can one server make, or one bartender make in this amount of time compared to the next bartender because of knowledge, experience, so on and so forth. So owners are going to be trying to maximize the money that can be made per person, per hour, per shift, much more further than they were before. I think it's always been an element of the business, but I think going forward is going to be something that's really, really honed down because it's about that perfect check. So we basically order makers, not order takers. This is actually something Alexis told me while we were going through this. It's a great thing. Like, are you an order maker or an order taker? Hospitality experience, that's a whole other seminar as well for brand awareness and loyalty. People are going to be going out like they did 15, 20 years ago for the experience of going out. They're not going to go out just to eat like they do now because there's so many restaurants, so many venues, so many people, so many different types of cuisine. When everything gets shrunk down, people are going to be picking the place that gives them the best experience, the best food, the best everything. They will want to be going out for the ambience and everything that's involved. And so essential staff really falls into that. Are you knowledgeable on wine? Can you talk about the latest news? Can you talk about sports? I'm not a sports guy, but I sure as hell know that when I was working the bar, I knew about every sports team and what was going on in the thing, but I never watched sports. So next up, this is the big one, changing landscapes. This is sort of how job hunting has been over the time. So traditional old school, I call it traditional old school because it's how I got a job in the original. So cattle calls, resume drops, cold calls. So if a cattle call is when you see a job ad saying, come to such and such place at 2 p.m. on Thursday with your resume, and everybody just comes down and drops their resume off. The cattle call, the cold call, the resume drop. Resume drops don't happen as often as I think they probably should. I still like that little resume drop sometimes, but print out your resume and dropping it off. So then you've got new technology. Now, new technology is what we had before COVID. So the online searches, Facebook job postings, and social media. Now, the future technology is what we're doing right now. Zoom. Now, really think about how much you used online conferencing and video chat and that sort of thing before COVID in the hospitality industry. So in big business, corporate world, video conferencing is still, I think it's definitely picked up a lot, but it's still relatively a luxury item when it comes to it. Like, people still phone in. People still do phone conferencing and stuff like that over video conferencing. But with COVID, man, house party, Zoom, all these things have just blown up in a way. And the technology's there. Like, think about it. Like 6 months ago, we wouldn't have been ever doing a seminar like this online. So the acceptance of online interviews, online testing, Zoom, is very similar to video dating in the 1980s. Video dating in the 1980s was kosher and like a little weird that you're doing video dating. You go to a place and they tape you doing a video, but then Tinder 20 years later is socially acceptable. Uber is the same. Like, there's certain technologies that convenience overrules. Like, you would never in the 90s say, oh, I'm just going to get into a stranger's car and he's going to drive me somewhere and I'm going to pay him. Like, but then there's Uber. So I think that video conferencing and future technology has been sped up and evolved quite quickly because of COVID. And so I think the acceptance and the utilization of new technology is definitely going to play a big part in job interviews and stuff in the future. To be honest, like, to do job interviews and that sort of stuff, if you could jump on a conference call like this, even post-COVID, post-lockdown, and do like an online test or a Survey Monkey, or a quick little questionnaire and get a face-to-face without anyone ever actually coming to the restaurant, because I can guarantee you that chances are that 6 to 12 months after lockdown, it's going to be essential people in the venue only. It's not going to be people coming and going and checking things out. It's going to be like essential people. So as you can see, the future technology, I think the reality is that we're going to have a melding of all three. So traditional old school is always going to be traditional old school. There's people out there that do not have email. There's people out there that do not have Facebook, and that goes for owners as well. And they want to have that piece of paper. I still love tangible pieces of paper in my hand, talking about resumes and making notes and so on and so forth. I still love that. But I think the reality is we're going to be utilizing Facebook and online platforms, which we're going to get into, with the future technology of Zoom, voice chat, like the phones. Like, you've got a supercomputer in your pocket and you can do an interview on FaceTime. It's insane. But the acceptance of that is where it's at. I remember 2013, 2014, someone applied for a job at Facebook for the first time, and my food and beverage director at the time lost his mind because someone reached out to him on Facebook personally, and I'm like, dude, it's 2013. And this is 2013. He's like, 2013, 2014. I'm like, dude, it's the future. Like, we communicate via social media. We communicate digitally now over like the old school version. Like, if you don't have someone's phone number, how many times do you just go and look them up on Facebook and hit them up on Facebook or Instagram? I do it, but the acceptance of that in the macro has been gloriously evolved from something that would have been acceptable 2 to 5 years from now to now, which is a fantastic sort of look. And being online, which again, it's another seminar, being online for a restaurant and a bar and accepting this new technology is paramount to job seekers. And job seeking and being a job seeker and someone interviewing you is a symbiotic relationship. So neither or can say, no, I don't want to do this, or no, I don't want to do this. It has to be symbiotic. And I think the industry is going to reset to a point where everything is going to become a symbiotic relationship. Customers and restaurants relationships are going to be symbiotic. It resets a little bit. And then the technology of both restaurants. And I've worked at restaurants. I've helped restaurants go from, I know a restaurant in town here in Victoria that only 6 years ago got a digital POS. Before that was still handwritten tickets till like 2014. It was insane. So Platforms for job searching. Now, this is going to ruffle a few feathers, I think, because some of the older, if there's any older watchers, or actually when this video goes out, this is going to ruffle some feathers because it is so non-traditional. But again, you have to accept it. This is the future. This is moving forward. This is happening whether you want it to or not. Just like when radio, everybody was like, I'm not going to watch the television. I want to romance the radio, or I don't want a text message. I want to romance written letters. This is the way it is. Plain and simple and pure. This is the way it's going to be from now on. So you have to either get on board or get off. So these are the 5 sort of platforms that I want to talk about a little bit when it comes to job searching and finding that job. So Facebook. So Facebook has been I'm actually going to go back to that one. Facebook's been a one-stop shop for a lot of people for a long time. You can buy stuff on Facebook, talk to friends on Facebook, play games on Facebook, watch videos on Facebook. Facebook is a one-stop shop. But I think there's a two sort of prong thing to this one, is that it's a great networking tool. You can go onto groups like Underground here on the West Coast, or I Got Your Back here in Victoria, OBC, which is the Ontario Bartenders Community, ABC, which is the Alberta Bartenders Community. You can go on these Facebook groups, and they're a great networking tool. But it's sort of a two-way street. You can put out that you're looking for a job, but also a lot of operators can do job postings. And there's a whole myriad of things on your Facebook page as an operator that you can post jobs, ask for resumes, that sort of thing. People can apply through Facebook. So it's really an elevated platform to use for job hunting. But it is very white noise. There's a lot of information out there on Facebook, and it is consumer facing. So all the social media platforms we're going to be talking about in the next little bit here in the slides is all consumer facing. It's all what you want to see as a consumer. Now, if you don't believe me on this and you think the algorithm's broken and stuff like that, go to your partner's Facebook feed and like roll up simultaneously between yours and theirs. You'd be surprised how different they are. Second thing, you also have to be very wary of the fact that next time you're on Facebook or Instagram, have a look when the actual post was posted. You'd be surprised. It's not a linear line of information. It's all based on who's liking what, who's watching what, how that's going to flow into your feed. And so it's a great networking tool, but you need to utilize the groups. As an operator, you need to utilize your Facebook page. We can get into the whole like posting on a regular basis and all this stuff, but that's a different seminar again. But Facebook is the everything to everybody, and it's socially acceptable to be everything to everybody. Like you can go on Marketplace, you can watch videos, like I said, post jobs, you can apply for jobs like directly on Facebook. So the everything to everybody is great for Facebook. You just have to be very wary that there is a lot of white noise out there. Like it's billions of people on a platform. And you want to be able to stand out from the job searching point of view. If you're looking for a job, how do you stand out as a person? And I can tell you right now, be very wary of your social media, because unless depending on your privacy settings, operators always look up people's Facebook page. Like always. It's the way that they look at everything. So social media is socially acceptable the way video dating wasn't in the 80s and Tinder is now, but you have to be very wary of the things like that. LinkedIn. Now, a lot of people poo-poo LinkedIn. A lot of people poo-poo LinkedIn because it's a little bit overly professional. But this is probably one of the biggest ones that I really want to talk about, because it's one that has so many different facets once you start exploring. So it is more professional, but it behaves a little bit like Facebook did 5 to 6 years ago. So you can get you can get a lot more reach and exposure. So the great thing is you can upload your resume. You can post that you're looking for a job. You can do a keyword flag. So if you go to the job posting section, you can do a keyword flag, which means that every time that a job is posted with the keywords you're looking for, beverage manager, bartender, server, and even bartender servers, like what you would class as like entry-level hospitality jobs, get posted on LinkedIn through HR companies and job-seeking companies and stuff like that. So you can find bartender at a hotel job on LinkedIn. But this is a much more professional. The way I look at it is it's a virtual resume. You can post articles that you like. You can write articles that you like. You can do keyword flags, which pop up. You can search jobs, what you're looking for. You can just type in, like, I'm looking for a hospitality consultant job or a beverage manager job, and there'll be jobs pop up. So you can really do you're self-facing to a lot of job seekers, a lot of job hirers. And it sort of opens up a bigger market. Now, it doesn't really matter if you're a bartender, server, whatever. I think building your LinkedIn profile is very, very important for the long-term success of your career. And the interactiveness that you can build out of that is far greater than what you can do on Facebook. So Facebook, you can share photos of your dog and all this sort of stuff. But LinkedIn gives you the opportunity to really showcase your professional standards. And I think as we go through some of the training and stuff like that, you can flag achievements that you've got, certificates you've got, diplomas, degrees, all these sort of things that really put weight behind you. Now, the last point there, premium. Now, I think premium is like $37 a month-ish Canadian, which is a little rich. But it does give you a lot of analytics, who looked at your profile, gives you better job seeking abilities, better resume uploads and stuff like that. So LinkedIn really can be your professional Facebook. That's the way I would pitch it. Professional Facebook. If you want to write articles about what's going on right now or how you feel as a bartender during COVID-19, you can put these articles up there. And it gives the opportunity for people to read how you feel, how you see the industry changing, your pointers on how bartenders can be better at their job after COVID-19. There's so many things you can possibly do on LinkedIn, and I think that it's underutilized by a lot of 20 to 30-year-old hospitality people who think that just because you're a server somewhere, and if this is your career, like this is really, like this brings it back to what we've really been talking about the whole time. If this is your career and your lifetime goal is to be in the industry and become a manager, an owner, a brand ambassador, so many jobs out there, LinkedIn is very, very important for your long-term growth. And put the notifications on, check in on LinkedIn once a day. For me, in the last little 6 months, I've really gone back into LinkedIn a lot, and it's been a fantastic resource for my business. And building that sort of professional portfolio of articles and photos and any articles, like an article off Facebook that you like from the Globe and Mail, you can post on LinkedIn just to build your sort of traction. And I think going forward, it goes back to that essential staff and what people are going to be looking for and how they're going to be looking for it. Those sort of weighted things, an owner, an operator, a hirer is going to be looking at your professional portfolio big time. Next up now, Instagram. Now, this one I was waiting for, like, if there was a way to do a voice in right now, I feel like there'd be a lot of boo, hiss to Instagram. As bartenders, we are creative. This is our thing, like going back to bartenders. As hospitality people, we're creative. If you're a sommelier, a chef, a server who loves serving wine or making cocktails, there's so many things you can do. So Instagram is a creative outlet for most of us, especially right now. If you go on your Instagram feed and you look at your little stories at the top, it's like a Christmas tree. Every single person is doing an Instagram live with a friend or an interview or something like that. There's so many things going on right now. There's so much information out there. But if you're a creative person and you're building your online persona, there is a lot of bartenders out there. Bad Birdie, the Hawk, I think it is. There's a lot of bartender personas out there that are really doing well with Instagram, and it's a big creative outlet. So if you're a bartender and you want to sort of use your visual capabilities, photos of your cocktails, videos, that sort of stuff, this is a really great creative expression of what you do. And I don't think it should be discounted when it comes to job searching. And I'll explain to you why. As a visual resume of what you do as a bartender. Now, you can always have two accounts. You can have your personal account, which you can have private, whatever. And then you can have a bartending account where you do your cocktail picks, you do your recipes, you do your videos. You talk about how life is as a hospitality person in the COVID-19. There's a myriad of things you can do as a expression. It's very visual. It's very easy to digest. It's 1-minute videos or longer IGTVs or little snippets of drink photos with recipes. There's a whole bunch of stuff, but it can be a very great visual, creative expression for you online. So if someone goes and Googles you or FaceTime or looks you up, they're going to find this, the visual resume. And now we can say, well, that doesn't take into account your experience or hospitality or anything like that, but it's a damn good step. And you got to look at everything we're talking about today as different prongs of an attack to get a job. And so the job searching platforms, like Instagram can be laughed at and giggled at, and he's talking about Instagram as a serious platform. But as a visual resume, I think it's second to none. It's fantastic to showcase what you got. Now, what do I mean about cold call? Now, this one is an interesting one because, as I said, things have changed. Life has changed. Technology is going to change, has sped up and evolved aggressively over the last 6 weeks. But the cold call. So instead of, and this is something that's happened to me, I get it a lot all the time. Instead of thinking, oh, well, I'm never going to get a job at X bar or Y restaurant because I'm not good enough, or they're in a different city, or I feel like I'm not qualified enough. Like, this is an opportunity to DM them. Now, you're going to get a hell of a lot of no's. Like, you're going to DM a lot of people, and they're going to go, go away, bugger off, or not even answer you. But at the end of the day, if you see yourself as someone who could work in a venue like this, it's a time now to utilize your visual, impactful, creative platform like Instagram as a tool to DM and cold call the restaurants and bars you want to work at. After all this is over, there's no reason why you can't change cities, go work in a bar you really love because of this. Because at the end of the day, if you are super creative on Instagram, you've got a great feed, people are following you, they love your stuff, and you DM Death and Company in Denver, and you're like, I want to come work for you. They can do a video interview before you even move. There's so many things you can do. And so utilizing Instagram and DMing people now, if there's venues who don't like getting DMs from possible staff, then they're not adapting to what's the changes. Like we said in the very beginning, either you get onto it or you're going to get off. So really use DMs as a cold call, dropping a resume off. Like, I'm really interested about working for you. How can I make that happen? How do I get a stage there? Can I come down and stage for you a couple of nights for free and just see, like, let me show you and let me help you out. And I want to see your operations. Tons of bars are always down for staging. Put yourself out there. At the end of the day, after all this, when the job pool is really deep, your time isn't worth as much as you think it is. And you need to put yourself out there, give away a bit of love for free, learn some new things, and possibly get a job at a bar of your dreams. Next up, online platforms. Now, I feel bad for online job hunting websites. I really do. They've sort of taken an absolute beating. Facebook, as soon as someone comes out with something cool that is revolutionary and innovative, Facebook goes and mimics it and puts it up on their site. And then, of course, it's everything to everybody, and everybody just starts using that. But I think on the flip side, the good ones are really, really great. And it is job seeking facing. So you, as a job seeker, you can decide and you can pick and choose. But the big one that I love for online websites is Indeed. Now, even when I was in Singapore last year, Indeed was the best online platform. Now, I looked up a whole bunch of ones that were relevant to that region, but Indeed gave me better feedback and better love and better resumes, to be honest with you. So on Indeed, you can upload your resume, put your keywords in, and every day you'll get a email saying what jobs are available based on your keywords, whether it be bartender, server, manager, so on and so forth. So, but I think Indeed is probably the best website. Don't go overboard, because when people are posting jobs, they're only going to go to one site or two sites, and it's usually Indeed and Facebook. Facebook is, like, going back to Facebook again, is a huge resource for restaurants and bars, but also going back to DMing and cold calling like Instagram. The best place to do is, like, go like the bar that you want to go work at, and when they post a job, it'll come up on your feed. Like Death and Company Denver just posted a job for a bartender. That'll come up on your feed, and you can apply for the job. So go look at the restaurants that you want to work at, or the bars you want to work at, and DM them like their pages, that sort of thing. Put a keyword down saying that as soon as you can do this on Indeed, where you can say, well, if some such and such restaurant or bar puts a job up, I want to get an email about it. Now, everybody probably is going to ask the questions like, well, how do you get from A to B? I did a podcast with Sam Kasuga, who works at Dead Rabbit. She's born and bred here in Canada. She works here in Victoria, BC, which is a city of 185,000 people. And she works at one of the best bars in the world as the head bartender now. So there is ways you can go from small town Canada to big time New York at Dead Rabbit. Her pointers were fantastic, and we're covering a bit of them here. But job websites, they're limited to how good the really great ones are. So Indeed.com is probably the one that I really, really love. It's the one I'm going to plug for this one because I think that it is the most interactive, intuitive job-seeking website that works for the job seeker and for the hirer. Next up, emails. Now, emails... there's going to be a lot of this after. Imagine being an operator looking to reopen, how many emails for jobs they're going to get in the first 2 to 3 weeks of the operation. It's going to be insane. So you're going to be cold calling. Again, this goes back to cold calling your favorite restaurant, bar, place that you want to work at, which I'm going to give you pointers on how to get that job. But how do you stand out? How do you stand out? Is through your Instagram feed, is through your Facebook, your LinkedIn feed. Your LinkedIn feed is going to give you a very professional tone of this is what I want to do with my career, this is where the direction I want to go, and a very business orientated tone and voice, whereas your Instagram feed is going to be your creative, your wonderfulness. So LinkedIn, you'll be talking about hospitality in an article, and Instagram, you're going to show your hospitality and your cocktails and that sort of thing. So how do you stand out? So you need to make sure that if you want to stand out, you've got to be looking at the bars and restaurants you want to go to, who you want to apply for. Do you embed a video from YouTube onto your page of you doing something? Anything to make you stand out past that three-line first preview for the operators. So you're really going to look at that and sort of see it's the reason why I had this very, very last is because it's, I think personally, one of the last things that you can do, but it's still a very important prong of information that you can get out there. So a video, a resume, a cocktail based on the bar's mantras and styles and menu. So research the bar that you're going for. If you want to go do something at a bar chef in Toronto, research what they do and create a cocktail that you think that would be great on the menu, that you can sort of show a photo and a recipe and your methodologies and stuff, and show that you really grasp the mantras and methodologies of the bar or restaurant that it is. So if you're a sommelier or a server and you want to get a job at a really nice wine bar, pick a food item and pair a wine, or take the whole entire menu and take their whole entire wine menu and then pick wines for their food. These are the things that are going to make you stand out and have operators go, oh, that's cool. I would. But I think that's super important is how do you stand out? So really research, again, goes back to being a symbiotic relationship between owners, operators, and the staff. How are you going to bring value to the operator, and how is the operator going to bring value to you? Obviously, the operator is going to give you training and expertise and pay you. What value are you bringing to the operator? It's got to be symbiotic. Whew. Like I said, you're going to have to rehire and reapply for your job. Now, you're going to have a ton of operators who say, you know what, I'm just going to bring back my old crew. But there's going to be a lot who are going to clean away people who are sort of on the fence about staying or going or didn't have great scheduling and all this sort of stuff. So again, there's going to be a certain level of rehiring and reapplying. The staffing pool is going to be big and deep, very big, very deep, because you're going to have very well-known sommeliers and chefs and bartenders whose their bars or restaurants aren't going to open again. So you're going to be competing against some pretty big heavy hitters in the industry. So you've got to keep this in mind. And this is where free online training comes in. Free online training, there is a ton of different things. I'm going to give you some links in the next slide or two. Free online training, Bar Smarts, Jerry, Anania's Academy in Australia, free business courses. There's just so much stuff out there. But if it's free, you better be doing it. Like at the end of the day, if you're not doing Bar Smarts, if every bartender comes back to work without Bar Smarts after this lockout, when Bar Smarts is free, a great program and a recognizable one, there's going to be some questions asked. Same thing with Ananias in Australia. A friend of mine's program, it's a speakeasy group in Australia. His program is usually $10 per person per month for operators to have. So if you've got 50 staff, it's going to cost you $500. So like it's free right now. So there's a whole load of stuff out there that if you haven't done it, when you go back to work, are you going to get overlooked for someone who has, for someone who's gone out and done extra work? If you're sitting at home wallowing in pity, this is not the best time to be like not staying positive. So targeting the job, same thing. You're going to work backwards. So again, pick the restaurant bar you want to work at, see what sort of level of staffing that you think that they're going to need, and work backwards from that. Get your Bar Smarts, get your WSET 1, which I think Pernod Ricard is paying for all of Canada right now for 1,500 people or something. But targeting the job is also for you. And I'm going to really look into the camera for this one for people who are watching this right now or going to be watching it later. If you're a staff member who wasn't happy in their role or in their job or their venue, this is a fantastic opportunity to pull yourself out of any rut that you've been living in as a staff member in a venue that you're not happy with, and go and find something that you'll be happy with. If you're going to stay in this industry for the rest of your life, be happy. It's a big thing. You can't say, oh, I'm just going to go back to working at ABC Steakhouse or whatever the hell it's called, or Country Kitchen, because that's easy and safe and that sort of thing. Like, you have an opportunity to get better, become better. That last little thing, come out of this better than when you went in. There's a lot of courses that I'm doing. Like, I've got almost 25 years worth of experience. It makes me feel old. Almost 25 years worth of experience, and I'm doing more courses that are free online. So these are the things. Bar Smarts, there's the code for it. Go look it up. I believe that Alexis is going to post this. I'm going to post this so you can click on that link. Bar Smarts, or Google it. Try Bar Smarts. Gives it to you for free. Ananias Australia, that's my friend's course. It's very, very in depth. They did a fantastic job. They got like Simon Ford, if you know who Simon Ford is, to talk about gin, and like people who are like specific leaders in their craft or their category to talk about certain categories. So it's a really interactive, lots of video work and stuff like that. Jerry Singapore is another one. It's $14 Canadian a month. I thought they were doing it for free, but it's a little bit a month. But for some reason, I feel like I missed something there. Asia Pacific Wine and Spirit Institute. This is one here in Vancouver. They're doing 2-for-1 courses. So their courses are about $500, which I know no one has a lot of money right now. I'm not suggesting you go out and spend money. But if you do a wine course, they'll throw in a cigar course, and if you do a truffle course and oyster course, there's a fair few little courses there. Go check it out. Again, if you figure out that end goal you want, I want to work at X restaurant or Y bar. I shouldn't keep saying Y bar. XYZ restaurant and bar, and work backwards from that. If they're an oyster bar, try and find an oyster course that's free. If they're a whiskey bar and they sell cigars to people as they go out, try and find a cigar course free. A lot of educators right now are just trying to figure out a way to keep people coming back to them. So you might get one free course, and then they know that you may come back. There's a higher rate of you coming back to try a paid course once this is all over. But really, at the end of the day, you need to be looking at education in a big way. If you're sitting at home, like trying to find stuff to do, and you're saying that you're bored, and you're just trying to be interested and like keep yourself at all, not going absolutely mental during this lockdown, these are things you can do. Bar Smarts will take you a week. Ananias will probably take you 2 weeks. Asia Pacific Wine course is like a 5-week course. But the big one, actually, Alexis sent me this link, which I'm going to explore even more so, because there's some amazing courses here. So Class Central It's a database of free university courses. So business, engineering, like marketing, there's a whole schwackload of courses that I saw. They do them for free over a space of time, like 5 weeks, that sort of thing. So it's structured. It's not like study at your own pace, which can be annoying sometimes because you sort of go, well, I can watch another episode of Entourage or whatever I'm binge watching, or I can do my course load. And then the only cost comes if you want the certificate. And the certificate's probably $500, but that doesn't mean you need to get it during this time. So you can do all your coursework, over and over and over again. And then after, when you get back to work and you're working and stuff like that, you can pay the $500 to get the actual certificate and the little letters on your name and that sort of thing. So there's a whole schwackload of stuff you can do there. But please, 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 please take it from me. If you have time on your hands and you're sitting at home bored, do some free courses. Google free courses. There's so many out there because I can tell you right now, as a hirer, as someone who hires people as a job and does HR for restaurants, one of the big key questions I think are going to come out of a lot of interviews is like, what did you do to better yourself during the lockdown? And if you did nothing and someone comes along and they've done Bar Smarts and Asia Pacific wine course and a couple of courses on marketing and PR or social media from a university or something, that's going to put so much weight behind their name. So I really want everybody to understand a couple of things. You're going to have to reapply for your job. Now, not everybody, but most people are going to have to reapply for their job. It's going to be a skeleton crew. You're going to have to show that your knowledge can turn into dollars for the owner, because no one's going to be paying for staff who don't turn tables into money, like the order makers over the order takers. It's going to be a big thing. And I think a lot of owners are really going to be focusing heavily on this sort of mantra. And I think a lot of independent operators outside the franchises who have secret shoppers and all that sort of stuff, the independent operators sort of let those things slide a lot, but it's going to be paramount to how much money can each person put through a till per hour per shift. It's going to be very important for a lot of owners to try and maximize one body for how much money they're going to make. So knowledge is power. Go out and learn as much as you can, and go and find the job that you really, really want. This is a time where technology, your wants and your needs are intersecting in such a positive, perfect way that you have the opportunity to get the dream job you can get just by Facebooking, just by Instagramming, building yourself up to be in a position to apply for a job or ask for a job or staging. And so for me, closing off this seminar, my big thing is that as a job seeker, you have a huge opportunity to be better for yourself, for your career, and be happier in any job you can get. So I'm going to leave it as that.
All right. Do we have any questions that people would like to pop into the Q&A section or raise a hand, and I can unmute you? I'll give you guys a couple of seconds to do that. If you have a question, just raise your hand, and then we'll wait for it to pop up in the Q&A. I think you did a great job of answering everybody's questions, Shawn. So I'm gonna wrap this up. So thank you so much, Shawn.
I get a little passionate when I start talking about happiness. And
that's good. Happiness and passion is great. So thank you so much. It was an amazing seminar. Yeah. I learned a bunch. And thank you to the participants as well. We hope this webinar has given you some insights and resources for the job hunt. At the end of this session, we will be posting next week's seminar called Turning Side Hustles into Reality, which will also be hosted by Mr. Shawn Soole. You can find the event on the seminar's Facebook page with a link to sign up via Eventbrite, just like you did today, or you can watch live on Facebook Live. So until next time, be well, stay safe, and mix with the best. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks,
Bye.
everybody.
Thanks for listening, Pose Shifters. I hope you enjoyed that episode. I really enjoy sitting down with friends and peers and just chatting about the industry and getting down to the nuts and bolts of what's really going on out there. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment, everything on all the platforms. Just hit it up and I'll do my best to answer any queries or questions you have. I'll see you next week, guys. Bye.